And I think even after it became obvious that the universities would have to charge a substantial amount to help supplement what the state provided, there was a sense that the community colleges ought to be free. Truth be told, they aren't free. The students still have those costs of attendance, those other costs that are very real. You can go to the university, if you're an exceptionally bright, very poor student, you can go to the University of California at substantially lower cost than going to a community college, because the state helps you through Cal Grant to pay for your non-tuition expenses.
Let me ask you about community colleges and Cal Grants, what you were just discussing. I'm trying to understand what the exposure would be to the state's Cal Grant program for applying it to community colleges for a typical student, in light of the availability of tuition tax credits for whatever taxpayer is paying the tuition, and Pell Grants. What is the practical? And I assume that Cal Grants get layered would be layered on top of those two entitlements. What would be the practical exposure of the Cal Grant program for a typical community college student? I guess you'd have to assume what the level of tuition is, but say it's $2,000, or I mean, I don't know what a tuition bogey would be, but what would notional exposure
there would be? I would say substantial, but managed. I mean, I think it would be possible to take some savings from the benefits that are the very generous benefits, fairly high up in what most people would consider to be the income category that Cal Grants go today, Cal A and B, and focus that. I think there would be. I don't recall the numbers on this. We've done some work on that, and I don't have that. Certainly, there would be additional expenses, but keep in mind that there's some exchange there, because today, most of the tuition, I mean, there's very little tuition revenue being generated in the community colleges today because of essentially you've got the sort of the shadow Cal Grant in tuition remission today.
Okay, and then finally, I've got a question on an issue you were just discussing, and that has to do with student success. And I'm wondering if you're familiar with the governor's proposal that he made last month, which to shorten the time to degree. And he has a proposal, at least for the for UC and Cal State, to limit their students' ability to accrue units, and then I think that it then leaves it up to each segment or institution to decide how not to either collect more tuition or to not allow that enrollment. Have you looked at that proposal? Do you have any opinion on it?
Yes, I have, and I've looked and studied similar proposals around the country, and depending on how I wake up in the morning, I can argue either side of those. I think the message is not a bad message. I think the effect is very modest. In Colorado, they have a voucher program, as you're probably aware, and the voucher is only available for a period of time. But of course, they have exceptions for students who have unusual circumstances. And it turns out every exception has been granted. So the policy is without teeth in their case.